Authors Over 50, Writing in Life's Sweetest Third. Authors Over 50's weekly podcast celebrates writers and their journeys to publication. Writing after 50 is a whole story on its own, so let's skip to life's sweetest third and talk with authors about their journey from pen to publish. Welcome, I'm Julia Daly, your host, and I invite you to listen to interviews with writers who've achieved their goal of publishing a book just later in life. We've seen award lists for under 30 or under 40, but I've yet to see lists for those who've achieved a significant milestone of their own, launching a new career and publishing their first book after the age of 50. We will hear about these authors' inspirations, struggles, strategies, and the smell of that first book. These writers' journeys inspire me because I'm one of them. My guest today believes that life is an opportunity to learn and grow. She's the best-selling author of Beyond the Bookclub, We Are the Books We Must Read, Acting Lessons for Living, and its guided journal. Her other professional roles include facilitating growth as a body-centered psychotherapist and coach, and certified hypnotherapist. It is her mission to find ways to reclaim our wholeness with gentle, insight-driven change. Her intention is to bring all these interests and skills together to co-create unique encounters of waking up, self-empowerment, and healing. Welcome to Authors Over 50, Ruthie Landis.
You know, really, I'm just 43. I decided that I would be 39 until I became 43 and then just 43 for the rest of my life. Okay. So, but in truth, I'm over 50.
Well, that's a good strategy, Ruthie, but I'm not sure it works so well for all of us. Our opening question on Authors Over 50, as always. So what took you so long to write your first book?
Yeah, it's a great, great question. And I really pondered it a lot. I really gave it a lot of thought, meditated on it. And I guess for me, there's many reasons. The first is that, life had its own path, right? So I was first an actor, director, taught acting. I did write. I wrote plays and adapted scripts, took novels and adapted them into performance mode and directed them. So I was always in the world of literature for sure. But then, I was in the sandwich generation where I had children and my parents and had to help my parents as they passed on. My father was sort of my biggest fan, and he attended all my workshops and was an actor as well. So that was sort of my life, and you just follow it, right? And then I was thinking, well, so what kicked me in the, to put out there what I knew I was going to do. I always knew I would be writing books. I just didn't know when. So I think it was 15 years ago that I started working on a book called Seasons of Self-Mastery. And I was weaving together all the different tools that I use. I use something called the Enneagram, which is this, ancient model of points of view, more or less, and body-centered work and nature, being part of nature, and creative, lots of forms of creativity. And so I was working on that book, and then my parents became very, very sick. And it just went on the back burner. You know what I would do? I would leave and drive about an hour, and I would stay in a hotel room and lock the door. I'd bring food for myself, and I had the same hotel room overlooking a lake, and I would do that once a month so that I could leave my parents and my husband and my child, so I could just not be distracted. And so it's funny, that isn't the first book that I published, and I haven't published that one yet. And it's 3/4 written. So it's interesting. I think it'll be down the pike that one's going to come. And maybe I have to self-master a little bit more before I finish it. But so what happened to me was, so then after being an actor, I became a therapist, right? And continued to work with the artistic community and all that. But I guess 2017, it started happening in 2016, and we know all the tension that's in the world. And one of the things that I do is I've presented internationally. I do lots of workshops. And the first series that I did for free was called Reconnecting with the Woman Behind the Mother, A Journey Back to Yourself. So for a year, I gave once a month free workshops. And I said, oh, with all these activities and everything, someday I'll compile those into a book. Then fast forward, I didn't do that. And then came all of this divisiveness. And so I started to do another free set of workshops for a year. And I called that Beyond the Book Club, because all these people, women, they were all women, would come and we would explore different topics like my first chapter in my book is yes, no, and maybe. Do I overuse? Yes. Do I overuse? No. Do I use, And so I would write an essay, and then I would design a workshop to explore that topic, a topic about our worth, a topic about what is wholeness, all this stuff. So I knew that at the end of this year of doing all of that, I had to put those 2 years together into a book, and that became Beyond the Book Club. We are the books that we must read. And it was my hope that beyond the beauty of reading a novel or short stories or whatever, which stories are healing and do teach us a lot, what if I could create a book in which I allowed, like I would do something to catalyze, and then I would allow the participants to meet as a book club and to be the stories that were being told. And so when you say, why did I wait? I waited till a time that felt really important, like I needed to impact. I needed to have impact on the world around me. And more than just one person at a time, or, whatever, 30 people at a workshop or whatever. And so it was really the context of the world that catalyzed me going, come on, do it. The other thing I have to say is that even though I am working on my first novel, I'm working with my niece. So I've got 4 books that are published, and I'm working on a 5th called Loving the Unlovable, like in ourselves and others. And then I'm working on a novel. And I'm scared about the novel because this is different. Like I write, you say 50 years. Well, I have 50 years of life. I have 50 years of experience, right? And that's true for anybody embarking on writing a book. But for me, I had so much content, so much that I wanted to offer up. So that's my answer. And the 2 things that I kind of selected to read kind of speak to that. Is that a good segue now, or have I talked too much?
That's perfect. I love that you are writing all of these books, and I don't guess we call them self-help books anymore, but you're certainly helping us to look at ourselves and to grow from that.
Right. Growth work is what I like to call it. Growth work. We're here to grow.
Ruthie, I've only seen hypnotherapy on television programs. What is the actual practice in real life?
Well, that's beautiful question because I think we walk around in a trance most of the time. We really aren't very awake. And so, how I use hypnotherapy therapeutically is, so let's say that we're stuck and we can't move and we don't know why, and we try to think and think about it. If we drop down into our unconscious, like we do when we sleep, right? If we can access through our bodies and through deep relaxation, we can find answers to questions we haven't been able to answer. So, hypnotherapy, as I use it, is not to stop smoking or lose weight or any of that stuff, though for many people, that's an effective strategy. It is. It's not me. To me, it's a little bit of a shortcut. I'm not that interested in a shortcut. But how I use it is, well, I work with a lot of people who have chronic physical pain. I do work with a lot of people who've had trauma. Pretty much almost everybody's had some trauma. And so if you just said blah, 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 you're not accessing the deeper parts of yourself. And you access them by, first of all, listening deeply to your body because your body never lies, never. And second, by going through your body, you are able to relax to such a place where all the things that are protecting you kind of dissolve and the truth starts to surface in a gentle way, a very gentle way. So, really, anytime I'm with a client and I just even say, just close your eyes and feel what's happening in your body right now, scan your body, watch your breath, you are already beginning to move into more of a hypnotic state, which is not one which you're a zombie. In a way, it's where you're waking up to yourself in a deeper way.
That's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, the body never lies. It's so, do you know, after 25 years in practice, I still cry and during a session that I'm giving because how the body tells the truth. Like, oh, I'm feeling tight here in my chest. It's hard to breathe. Oh, what does it feel like? If it had a voice, what would it say? Oh, there's so much pressure. Oh, there's so much pressure. Is there pressure in your life right now? And then right away, it comes up. Yeah.
I just can imagine that you are a wonderful therapist. I can just hear that in your voice. You make me want to lie down and get in touch with myself.
Well, that's why it's called Beyond the Book Club. It is a book club, right? There's 12, it's a year's long worth of thing, but we are the books we must read. And, we are reading ourselves when we're reading a novel. We are reading ourselves too, because we're filtering that story through our own story, right? But wow, to give people the opportunity to share with their best friends their own stories as it relates to different topics like fear and joy or um, gratitude or not gratitude or these different topics that we don't let ourselves dive in with our friends in an intimate kind of way.
Well, once you wrote this book, you didn't take the one out of the drawer that you had started earlier, but once you wrote this book, how did you proceed? Did you search for an agent, decide to choose a hybrid, a small press, or did you self-publish?
So my first one was kind of hybridy, I think. It was more toward the self-publishing, but they did offer other services too. And then I found so beautifully, they referred Sherry Stauk to me, who's a publicist and who owns a wonderful bookstore in Somerville, South Carolina. And she became sort of my publicist. And so I kind of did a hybrid, both with the first press that I did. Why did I do that? Because my intention, Julia, was never that I was going to be a best-selling author. I mean, it's shocking that that book was best-selling, not for very long, for when it first came out. It was for whatever, a few weeks, but I can still say it, it's true. But I never, this wasn't going to be my 15 minutes of fame, or it really, for me, is about impact. So I'm impacting people one person at a time, or when I go to conferences or whatever and do workshops, I'm impacting more. But a book is a way to reach more people. And so I didn't want to look at, as an actor, I had an agent, I was doing all the auditioning. And, I am very fortunate that I was very successful. I made a living. And that's the other thing. I had to make a living all these years. I couldn't just like go, oh, I'm just going to go in a cave and write. We had to make a living too, on top of the other stuff. So I said to myself, do I really have the time to be hunting for a literary agent? Do I really have the time? I need to get people that I know are good editors and proofreaders and all that. But where do I want to put my time? And so after Beyond the Book Club, the next idea came just so quickly. And that was acting lessons for a living. And my father had just died, and my father's on the cover. And he was in a production of Cabaret, Taking a Bow. And with Billy Crystal, he was in that production. And then on the back of the book are all the different roles that I play. So this is not an acting book at all. Just, it is a book. Play the scenes of your life with intention, presence, and pure potential. So I thought, oh my goodness, what if I took the actor's world about how they play scenes and I melded it with the hero's journey, the story that is our own, and this Enneagram, which is all about the roles we play in our life and our motivations? What kind of a book would emerge from that? And what emerged really was, how do we live our lives in such a way that we can take a bow at the end of our lives? My father certainly earned the right to take a bow at the end of his life. And so, of course, I put it on the cover. And then after that one was done and out there, I had all these activities, because I've just been teaching. And so I created this guided journal based a lot on acting lessons for a living. And it gives you daily, weekly prompts. It depends. And they're really cool. And they've got activities that go with it. And I just thought that these were sort of like Bonnie and Clyde, Batman and Robin. They had to kind of go together. So once like the door was open for the writing part of me to emerge, it didn't kind of stop. And then the next one was another guided journal called My Musings. And My Musings are also prompts, but it's based on the Chinese 5-element theory, which is how we are inseparable from nature, that the parts of ourself, oh, I just saw you take a deep breath just now. So that the parts of ourselves are the seasons. Like right now we're in fall, and it's the time of, what do I hold on to and what do I let go of? So the trees let go, and they let go because they know they have to make room for something else. What am I holding on too tight to? that I need to let go of. And each season gives us not only like our emotional journey kind of in Chinese medicine, but also what's happening in our bodies. Because, like I said, the body doesn't lie in terms of all the data it's giving us. If we're sick, if a certain part of our body is off balance, what is that? So that's what my musings is. And then now what I'm struggling through is Loving the Unlovable, which is about our shadows, about the parts of ourselves that we disown. And we say, I'm going to lock that in a closet. That's not lovable. And then we project that onto other people. And we don't like that in them. So,
Well, Ruthie, you have certainly opened a door to publishing after your first few attempts. Are you still going on writer retreats to get these accomplished?
Thank you for asking that question.
What's your writing routine?
So I take 2 weeks in the spring and 2 weeks in the fall. And I found a little place in Wisconsin, and I rent a little cottage there that is literally like 60 feet from the lake. And it's a screened-in porch in the front. And every day I go out and I put my computer out there and I stare at the lake and I write and I write and I write and I write. And I don't let anything intrude on me. And I've begun to see that, in the old days when I, was doing seasons of self-mastery, which I will finish someday. I mean, I hope so, if I live long enough to do all of this stuff. But I know that, so in the Enneagram, I'm a 2, and a 2 in the Enneagram is called the helper giver, the lover, the helper giver. And it's like I have antennas all over myself going, what's that person need? What does that person need? What do they need over there? What do they need? And then I have all my clients who are texting me all the time, right? I can see it's happening in your chest right now. You're like going, shaking your head, and you're like going, I understand this. And so I have to like remove myself. Now, once I get like the editing part, like once I get the stuff out, I can work when I have slots of times on the weekends or whatever. And I do prefer, it's funny, I prefer on a beautiful day to be outside when I write, because nature, the sky, it all feeds me so much. But that was a great question because it has shifted. I can't just go away once a month, and that isn't satisfying enough. I kind of need to bigger chunks.
Well, I love writing retreats. They just take us out of our routine and get us away from the daily activities that we have in our homes. And I think that's when you can be free to write so well.
And plug into yourself and our connection to all that is, because I really do believe, and I've heard on Pulpwood Queens, and 2 of my books were chosen for Pulpwood Queens, but I've watched as many authors as I can and learn from them, and you hear often, I don't know who wrote that. And it happens to me all the time. I open my book. I have a chapter I'll say to a client, I want to read something to you. And then I go, after I read it, I go, did I write that? Who wrote that?
It's almost like an out-of-body experience.
Exactly.
Our characters do talk to us.
Yes, indeed. And so does the world around me. So lots of times, like, if I'm just seeing little geese walk by, and they've come to tell me something too, and that might inform what I happen to be writing about in the moment too. So yeah, your characters speak to you, though all the stories that I have, been so privileged to be part of in these many years of being intimate with my clients in such a way, they all have stories.
Every one of us has a story, and it's such a privilege for you to be able to share those with others. What about publicity? Have you found anything that works for you? I know so many writers don't like to put themselves out there and to promote ourselves. Have you found something that worked or maybe something
Yes,
that
I
didn't
have.
work?
Yes, I have. And what I found is that I was lucky enough that the universe provided me with a young woman. She's a virtual assistant and she's in the Netherlands. She's getting her MFA in graphic design and all this stuff. She charges me so little. And we meet once a week and we hammered out the brand, my brand, because see, I kind of have a brand. And even my novel, Illumination Inc., you will understand, is going to have the Enneagram in it. It's going to have, there are 9 main characters. So there are 9 Enneagram types. And so I'm not going to be able to completely get away from my life's mission in the novel. But so what we did was we kind of hashed out, well, who am I reaching out to? Well, I'm reaching out to people who want to know their story and grow. And so she does designs of 5 different posts a week. And she posts them on Facebook. She posts them on Instagram and TikTok. She has now gotten me to a point where in 30 days, I get 1,000 people coming to my website, which is extraordinary.
Very nice.
Yeah. So I think it's not about doing it all yourself. I do engage with people on Facebook. I don't in Instagram and TikTok, but I do engage. And it has given me a wider community of people, which really is very nourishing to me. And so, but I would hire somebody. I would say, and I don't pay that much, and it's worth it because I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you read for us from your book so that we can hear your tone and voice?
All right. So I'm going to read some short little things. So the first at the beginning of Beyond the Book Club is a poem. And so I'm going to read that first. It's called Breadth and Depth. How deep do you want to go into the ocean of your psyche? Do you want to come deep sea diving with me? Our backpacks are waterproof. Do you want to see all the unseen places down under, the hidden places, your eyes filled with wonder and awe? We leave judgment at the shore to sunbathe with itself. So come with me and see there's nothing to hide from in this rich sea of our souls. The beauty and the mystery of all things human are waiting to be seen and known. Come with me. And after exploring within, we swim upwards in this water womb of our pure potential. We birth the newly seen parts of ourselves, giving them breath and acceptance, love, and light. Out of the shadows we emerge. Then fly with me to the top of the mountain and see this life of ours from all directions. Like a condor, we see differently as we soar from above, as expansive as we went deep. My great teacher, Charlotte Selver, would ask, how long am I? How wide am I? How deep am I? If you long for depth and breadth, if you are someone who has done much work already, traveled great distances, either with teachers within yourself or outside of yourself, you understand the well has no end. Your destination is the journey. If you long to love yourself and others in ways you never imagined possible, come with me. We are on the same adventure, long, wide, and deep. I am you, and you are me. Let's go.
Oh, Ruthie, that's a beautiful invitation. Very, very touching. Thank you.
Thank you. And can I read one little other squib? And this is the last chapter, the last like workshop of the full year thing. And I'm just going to read a very short little part of it, but it's on wholeness. So we go through all these different examinations of how do we relate to our fears? How do we, find joy in our life, all that. And then by the end, we come to wholeness. So wholeness is coming home to ourselves, even with all the struggles and demands of being human, as well as the many blessings and the gift of life itself. It is not only reclaiming and remembering, it is returning. It is returning to the birth canal and making it through to the other side. It is returning to the first breath we took as we inhaled the first moment of our new journey. It is returning to the first opening of our eyes to take in the world, the first warm and comforting or cold and shocking touch, our first cry, and our first giggle. This is home, and this is wholeness. Wholeness does not need to suggest a completed state. It is a seed already whole, waiting for its potential to unfold. We are all whole seeds, DNA driven, experientially impacted, responsive and reactive, compelled to live, survive, and hopefully thrive. Forgetting our wholeness is part of our wholeness. Slipping into any of the array of colorful emotions from a vast palette of feelings is part of our wholeness. Resisting change is part of our wholeness. Growth and learning are a part of our wholeness. But growth and learning, or quote, improving ourselves, does not make us more whole. Reclaiming wholeness is an all-inclusive attitude, non-edited, non-preferential, fully accepting.
Lovely. Ruthie, you give to so many and advise so many and comfort so many and support so many. So I know you can answer this final interview question of the day. Our writers over 50 are a unique set. Do you have any advice for writers 50 and above?
Share your wholeness. Share it. For the first 50 years, you've taken in all kinds of experiences. You have so much to share, so much to offer. Don't get lost in I'm not this or I'm not that or I don't have an agent or kind of the performer achiever. Do it for your soul. Do it to express who you are in this world, and don't let anything else get in your way, because you matter and what you have to say matters. So, we can be marginalized as we get older, but we women, we must share to the world. They are not taking us down. We are becoming more powerful and more wise with each year of our life. So share it. Don't hoard it. Take it out into the world. That's what I would say.
Well, that is such important advice for all of us. And I just appreciate you so much. And thank you so much for being with me today. And we are excited to say that you're now one of our authors over 50.
Thank you so much for including me today. I love talking to you.
Thank you for joining us today. Please look for Authors Over 50 every Thursday when we will have conversations with accomplished debut novelists over the age of 50. Please subscribe and share with a friend. And check out my own publication journey after 50 at www.juliadaily, that's D-A-I-L-Y, like dailynewspaper.com. Until next time, keep reading and writing. And remember, it's never too late to fulfill a dream in life's sweetest third.